afternoon from the International Forecaster. And folks, don't forget to give us a call for your complimentary issue to the International Forecaster. Good afternoon, Bob.
Well, good afternoon again, and good afternoon, listeners. You get plenty of time to listen today. And also, you've had plenty of time to send me all those emails. I got over 500 of them today. And yesterday we had 300. The day before we had about 300. And there's just no end to it. In fact, I did 18 holes in 2 hours. I shot an 88. I played alone because there was so much work. Judy had to stay home.
Oh, poor Judy.
So if you're going to send one, please make sure it's important. I'm getting buried. Anyway, tomorrow is going to be a large day. And the reason it's going to be a large day is that gold and silver up today. And it's going to be very interesting to see if we see a holding pattern tomorrow on today's gains or a markup to today's gains, which is more likely. And what I mean by that is what you saw today was in the excess market and in Europe and in Asia. And the excess market is a very, very thin market. And usually the U.S. government uses it to try to influence prices. Well, somebody else has caught on, and they did it this time in the opposite direction. So if we hold those gains tomorrow of $15 to $20 and $1.50 or so on silver, this thing's going to go crazy. And silver will probably, technical resistance will come between 37 and 40 and dollars an ounce. And on gold, I had a high before, I think of 1432. So to do 200 points in this market is nothing. So I would be looking, as I have been before, at 1650, although it may keep it right on going depending upon what's going on. And the U.S. government evidently saw this coming. That's why they tried to attack over and over again both metals, and particularly the shares last week. I mean, it's dreadful the things they're doing. And you can blame this all on Ronald Reagan, because he was the one that signed the executive order completing the president's working group in financial markets, which allows these people to rig the markets 24/7. He's the one responsible. And between that and the 1986 Tax Reform Act, he was a disaster as far as I'm concerned. Because, the Tax Act put 8 million millionaires into bankruptcy. And that's a lot of millionaires. It may not seem like much, but it is. Especially people spent their whole lives building up, savings and wealth, only to have it ripped out of their hands by Reagan. And he was responsible for it. But anyway, so tomorrow's going to be an important day. And even if we're up only 10 and $1 or 80 cents, it's still good. But I would imagine if the gains hold at a plus 10 and plus 80 cents, then we're going to see some giant gains coming. So it's a pretty good day. The G20 meeting that was over last weekend was a disaster, a real disaster for the bad guys. And they can't agree on anything. And the CDU in Germany, Russian Democratic Union, excuse me, they were dealt a district defeat in the Hamburg area of Germany, one of the most prosperous in the country. And I don't think she can recover from that. And the reason? The people in Hamburg said, we don't want to bail these people out. Get rid of the euro and give us our Deutschmark back and end the story. So you're not going to see Germany, which is the most powerful Eurozone member and probably the most powerful member of the European Union, say we're not going to put any more money into this. And if Merkel unilaterally and the CDU persist, they'll never get elected again in your lifetime. The socialists will win everything. And it's disgusting. I know the CDU very well, and they've made a mess of things. I thought Willy Brandt was bad. These people are dumber than dumb. But anyway, that's a major development, because if the money isn't going to be forthcoming, who's going to put it in? They're all going to go under, unless the Chinese and Japanese decide all to buy all their bonds. The U.S. certainly can't do it. The Germany's not going to do it. Do you really think liberal Holland and liberal France will do it? I don't think so. They don't get the money to do it anyway. So, important development. I just saw a piece that just came in from Bahrain, and it was we'll call it a movie on a link I have, which is in Wednesday's issue. The military at about 100 yards on orders from the royal family in Bahrain to massacre people who were just marching in the street, with signs and stuff like that. Just murdered them all. Unbelievable. So they deserve to be thrown out of office. And, of course, the problems in Algeria and Morocco continue. Libya, I heard word this morning out of London, it was about 3 a.m., that Gaddafi had left town and headed for Europe. But I don't know how true that is yet. There's no confirmation on that. And his son must be an imbecile. I can't believe the stupid things he was saying. I don't know. I give up. And
they're all crazy over there, Bob.
Yeah, well, I think what's going on here, and this is another leg of the journey from the Tunisian-Egypt changes and the Tunisian-Egypt changes, which were created as a method of keeping people's mind off of the problems financially, economically, monetarily that abound in the United States and England and Europe. And they wanted to get rid of Mubarak, and the reason why was he didn't want to invade Iran. And so I think now you're seeing these disruptions, and the reason you're seeing them is that I think what they want, the U.S. and Israel, England, probably France as well, what they want is a chaotic enough situation that no nation in that whole periphery can serve as a problem to Saudi Arabia, Israel, and the United States in the event of a major operation which would be the invasion of Iran. And that's what I think they're up to. And so what does that mean? We'll back into it. We'll guess. By the end of the summer, there could be a war. QE2 will be exhausted. The economy have gotten nowhere. QE3 will begin, whether there's war or not. And more funds will be forthcoming from the U.S. Congress. When the American people also find out what I received from Ron Paul this weekend, is that the Chinese are going to be able to use their U.S. bonds to purchase properties in the United States. And that is not a very good idea. And then you've got the other deal where there's 257, I'll call them free trade zones. That's what I think they're called. And you've got that going on. And so I don't think it's going to sit well with the American people.
Well, Bob, I saw a headline where it shows where the, community came out and said the U.S. must be removed from the Islamic world. My question is, how much pressure can they put on the Saudis so they no longer sell oil in U.S. dollars?
Well, I've been hearing rumors, for the last several days. And, of course, these rumors are aided and abetted by these moronic newsletter writers who lie and sensationalize about all these things. I mean, it's just incredible the crap that goes on in this industry today. New super announcement. I mean, all they're doing is promoting themselves and making money. And the public is led in the wrong direction, and eventually you'll get slaughtered by them. And this is another one of these rumors. And I'll have no part of them.
Well, I didn't hear. My question is my own question. I mean, I didn't hear what anybody said about that. I'm just curious, will the Saudis stop selling oil in U.S. dollars?
And I said there's a rumor to that effect.
What's your view?
No. Okay. Well, let's look at it this way. If you were in Saudi Arabia and you were king of the heat, would you give up using the U.S. dollar, and let's say use the euro, and lose all your protection? I mean, there's no choice there. You have to keep that protection. So they're not going to do that. Maybe they'd like to, but they're not going to do it. Another thing, too, is that the people in Saudi Arabia are very unhappy with the government. And one of the princes is Turkey, I think his name is. He's been warning them for a long time. Keep it up, and you're going to get your head chopped off. And so we'll see what happens.
Okay. Here's a question in from John. The sale of the Canadian Stock Exchange to London took place last week, and now the sale of the New York Stock Exchange to Germany. Does this indicate the U.S. dollar is being replaced as the world reserve currency, and how will this impact the U.S. economy?
And the answer is no. So that fixes that. What they're doing here is they have now begun the merger of all stock exchanges into one. Yep. That's what they're in the process of doing. And they'll have one, and then that will be very good for their one world government. That's what this is about. As far as the use of the exchanges, there won't be any changes. In the way they operate until they get them all together. And then it'll be very dictatorial. You won't believe what they'll do. And they do the same thing with banking.
Hasn't Germany been in the NASDAQ for a long time, or one of them?
I don't know. I can't remember. To think about that one.
One of them. I mean, it doesn't make any, Bob, it's all the same anymore. All they're going to use the markets for is for their agenda. Keep taking people's money and then making them lose it. People will never see it. I mean, that's how they strip people of their wealth. People buy into these gains. People buy into these, wow, the stocks, we're looking at the stock market going up to 13,000, 14,000. The next thing you know, it's right back to where people lose everything or a very large part of what they have. And that's how it's designed. That's how it's planned. And it's not going to change.
Until the governments are overthrown. And they'll take the people out and either shoot them or hang them or cut their heads off. And this is going to happen.
I saw that.
They can't control the people. Yeah, I mean, we're only talking about, let's say at the outside, 25,000 people. There's hundreds of millions of people in the world. Come on. Do they really think they can pull this off? They're crazy. I mean, to even attempt it is ridiculous.
I saw the Wisconsin governor being interviewed this morning, and it is amazing, Bob. And to me, that's a prime example. I mean, here he is. He was voted in there to get the state under control, to do what needs to be done to balance a budget, and people are saying no because they have to give up too much in order to balance the budget. So, where do you think that will?
Well, they're not going to have any choice. They're going to have to do it, and unless there's legislation which says they can go bankrupt. But even if they go bankrupt, all the pensions and benefits go out the window. I think, the pension structure is ridiculous, and it should be cut in half. Pretty simple. And the unions don't want that. So the governor's going to do what he has to do. Democrats have left the state and they're in hiding. How ridiculous. I mean, what a way to run a government.
Yeah, and he said the same ones that are in hiding are the same ones who, wanted a lot of this prior to, So it's very interesting, and this is Wisconsin. It's going to be, pretty much how many other states in this country that will face the same situation. And the same kind of unrest, so to speak. Here's a question in. Can you explain the Ruta theory? What is your opinion on it?
What?
The Ruta, R-O-O-T-A.
Oh, it's a bunch of stupidity. I won't even answer that question. That guy's an idiot. End of question.
I guess I'm going to have to Google that one. I haven't heard.
The same one I told you about before we get on the air.
Huh? It's the same one?
Yeah.
Oh.
There's a whole bunch of them making up stories, one after another. There's about 5 of them, and he's one of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, think of. And these poor listeners, they don't know, right from wrong as far as this stuff's concerned. I do.
Yeah, I do too.
And they come out with these asinine, sensationalized stories so they can sell subscriptions. And then you get two groups come out with good videos and audios, give people a free subscription to a publication, and then come back to the people. And one group's got $3,000 for our hot stock, $1,450 for our hot gold and silver stocks. The other guys have got $1,000 for their hot stock. I mean, you think you were talking to touts at a racetrack, and they don't have experience in that area. It's tragic what's going on out there. And these people are going to lose their pants. And on top of it, I wonder if the people who are making these recommendations are getting paid by the companies that they're recommending. Good question, because none of their literature says. And under FCC regulations, they have to put it there.
Bob, I talked, I believe, he's one of your subscribers, and we'll have to talk about him when we get back from this break. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us. You're listening to Financial Survival. This program is brought to you by Discount Gold and Silver Trading. Our telephone number is 1-800-375-4188 for all your gold and silver coin needs here at Discount Gold and Silver Trading. If you would like a complimentary issue to the International Forecaster, give us a call at our 800 number, or you can even email us at discountgoldandsilver@yahoo.com for your complimentary issue. And Bob, would you like to tell us about the International Forecaster, please?
The forecast is about business, finance, economic, social, and political issues all over the world. We publish on Wednesdays and Saturdays via email. Runs around 40 pages each time. We have a hard copy that goes out twice a month for those of you who are not on the Internet. And everything that you need to know every week is in that publication. You get a free introductory copy by going to theinternationalforecaster.com. Theinternational, FORECASTER.com. You also can go to www.intforecaster.com. That's intforecaster.com. If you'd like to send us a question or find out what we're recommending for stocks, that address is Bob, B-O-B, at intforecaster.com. That's Bob at intforecaster.com. Or you can call toll-free to...
Give us a call here at 800-375-4188. That's 800-375-4188. We've got some great prices on some Morgan dollars. XF Morgan dollars are actually priced lower than Silver Eagles. That makes them a pretty good buy. We also have some great product on various gold and silver coins. Give us a call with an increase in silver. You have to be careful in what you purchase, and because things are certainly getting a little pricey there in the silver area. The 90% silver is still the most cost-effective way to buy. And, folks, preservation of wealth. Use your gold as preservation of wealth. And certainly a mixture of gold coins is a great thing to have. Be a little bit diversified, but you don't have to go crazy. You want to stay away from most of the circulated $20 gold pieces. And, folks, you know what? There might just come a day when we talk about the circulated gold coins, there could come a day when items become very difficult to find, And they might be your only option because, again, the increased inflation, purchasing power, that's the key thing into preserving your wealth. Give us a call at 800-375-4188. That's 800-375-4188. I think I'm losing my voice today. Not sure.
Me too.
You too.
Well, this is my third of the day, so it gets a little hairy. I've got a letter here. It's really interesting, and but I'm not in voice enough to do this one today. It's a page and a half, and so I'm going to have to pass on it. Do you have any other questions?
Well, yes, I do. This one is from Andrew in London. He says, having read up on this subject, it seems to him that it's just a matter of time before the derivative market collapses. It's his opinion. It is this event where countries convene to default and devalue their currencies. The notional value of derivative assets run into the hundreds of trillions. Another round of QE would simply not be sufficient to cover the cracks. Following this, with the public no longer willing to accept worthless paper in return for hard assets, he thinks that the bankers will bring in a gold-backed currency and contract the money supply. The world will be plunged into a deep depression with money now in short supply and the inflated loans taken out during the housing bubble period still outstanding. Bankruptcies and foreclosures will soar. The banks will continue to amass real assets, but this time at rock-bottom prices, and will soon come to own the majority of housing stock, companies, and public utilities in many nations around the world. Do you think this is a likely outcome, or do you see a different sequence of events stemming from the aftermath of the derivative market collapse?
Well, I think it's a spot on, and I think that no one can tell any timing on it whatsoever in regard to when it's going to happen or when the stages will begin. We know what they want to do, and that is that they want world government. In order to do that, they have to tear down the entire economic, financial superstructure of the world, as well as monetarily. And then they're going to rush forward and say, "Well, come and save you, and this is what you got to do," and that's their intention. And that derivative structure, about 80% of all the derivatives are owned by J.P. Morgan Chase, which is the biggest shareholder in the Federal Reserve, which, in fact, is owned by the Queen of England. And so they figure, look, we take it all under, and we can come back in and buy it for pennies on the dollar, and then we'll control everything. We'll have our world government, and that's what we're going to do. And but there's too many of us who know what they're up to, and the word has gotten out over the last particularly 10 to 15 years, and people now realize that these things are not happening by chance. And so what's going to happen is that they may get all of the things they want, they may not. They're making a lot of mistakes, and they will continue to do so. And every time they make one, they have to change their plans and things that they want to do. And so it's not going to be as cut and dried as people think. But what that gentleman just wrote in could be approximately what is going to happen. But we just don't know. But that's the path that they would like to follow. And they're going to do that as long as they can.
Here's a question, and all the demonstrations around the world, Egypt, Greece, UK, Ireland, North Africa, Now it's spread to the United States and Wisconsin and Ohio. Could this be the beginning of the collapse of the world economy?
Sure. Very definitely, but I don't know what it is that. But it could be.
Probably going to be a combination of everything.
What's that?
Probably a combination of everything happening all at once.
Well, again, nothing is coincidence, so
right.
I think there's a lot more to this than just meets the untrained eye, we'll call it. And I think, do we know for sure why we're having these demonstrations all over the world? I mean, could it be that they're all planned? It's a good question. And the what do you call it? OSB, we'll call it. They know what they'd like to accomplish, and maybe one of the ways there is disruption everywhere. Chaos and confusion. So we'll just have to see.
I mean, there has been some major reporting that the disruptions, like over in Greece and everything, over in Egypt, they're even reporting that it is planned. But they know it was planned, I believe. Have you heard of that reporting also, Bob?
What was implanted?
Like on mainstream reporting on various reporters that are reporting from those areas are coming out and saying that, everyone in those areas believe that this has all been planned by, of course, the U.S. and Israel.
I think there's a great deal of credence in that. What they don't understand is blaming the United States government is futile. There's nothing there. What is happening is part of an international, extremely well coordinated series of events. And this goes back many years as well. And I think that what's going to happen in these planning stages is that people are going to realize that these things are not happening naturally. And that's going to slow down their plans as well.
Well, I would also think whatever they begin to, what they create, what they begin, what they plan, seems to spiral out of control and probably goes further than what they perhaps even wanted themselves.
Could be. Could very well be. Did they plan on what went on in Bahrain? I saw the people getting shot down the street.
And he also wants to know, Bob, how much time do you think we have left?
Another hard question because, everything changes and it's in flux all day, every day. It's a hard one to call. I'm getting more and more conservative as we go along on my calls because there is so much disinformation out there. It's terrible. Really dreadful. And these people sell newsletters. It's disgusting.
You know what, Bob?
Anyway.
Things are going to happen soon enough. And I think to try and know when that is happening or different things, the key thing is preparing for these. And then you don't have to worry about how long we have or how long it's going to take or, when the dollar's revalued and all these kinds of things. It's going to happen. We're on that path and it's not going to change. And so each day that we have that it doesn't happen gives you another opportunity to preserve your purchasing power, to get any additional items that you might need for anything that might happen. I mean, now there's more and more reports coming out from mainstream about the solar flares, that will be coming, and that I believe happened last week, and some of the disruptions and how it can affect the communications. I mean, everything is GPS, everything, our telephones. If people didn't have their cell phones, they can't communicate with anybody because they don't have hard lines anymore. So, it's so each day we have, get ready, and you don't stop getting ready. You think you're ready today doesn't mean you stop tomorrow. It's a continuing process. And here's a question in from John. He says, according to China News, United States has vetoed a draft UN resolution condemning the expansion of Israel's settlements in the occupied Palestinian territory, turning a deaf ear to international calls and the Palestinian appeals for an immediate stop. Who and how long will it take to stop Israel taking more and more land?
They're not going to do it. It's a Nazi state. They want the whole Middle East. People don't get it, especially Jewish people who are in favor of Israel. They don't understand what they're up to. This getting bigger and bigger and bigger is not a very good idea. And so I think there's going to be big problems over there.
Where did I see? I guess that Rasmussen, Obama's approval fell again.
I didn't see that. But then again, I'm so far behind. And we've been working since 4 o'clock this morning.
Yeah.
It's just incredible.
And then you also have, the CNBC Santelli on yesterday. I don't know what program he was on, but he comes out and he says that if the country is ever attacked as it was in 9/11, he says it's going to be the budget. He says you're looking at the budget crisis affecting the state and federal sheet balances to a 9/11 type attack on the nation. It's becoming more mainstream on a lot of these programs. The most difficult part is our budget and where we're headed.
Oh, it's terrible. 1.6 trillion, and if you really get the real figures out of it, it's 2.4. And then if you put the long-term stuff in, it's even worse. Yeah. I mean, they have no intention in either party of stopping what's going on. Mm-mm. And that's why what you just said a little while ago about getting in food, a filter, weapons, and gold and silver coins is so important, because that's got to be your first line of defense for your family and your friends. It has to be. And if you don't have that, you got a problem.
And as I mentioned, it's a continuing item, Use what you have, replace, think about things that you don't have, things that you wouldn't think that you would miss. Get. So what if you have too much? So what if you don't have to buy something for a whole year? That's okay. But on the other hand, don't go too crazy. You want to make sure that whatever you invest in, make sure you do it what's suitable for you. And, I don't think you can ever have too much of one thing, but sometimes you can use your funds a little bit better, a little bit smarter. And, so you have to weigh everything when you're making these decisions. I've seen people put thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, back in the late 90s, which was a good thing, but, sometimes money can work a little bit better for you in different areas, so just be careful on that. But I think, Bob, too many people, sometimes they worry too much about what's happening everywhere else, and all we have to do is look right back here in our backyard to see the problems that we have. And they're not going.
Well, we sure get plenty of them, and they're not going to go away quickly, and they're going to get worse. I mean, look at the antics that are going on in Washington, and we now have an extension of the Patriot Act. We're not going to know for how many months yet. At least it wasn't permanent. But, the Tea Party is sold out. Well, who needs that? Disgusting.
Kennedy. He was assassinated because he signed an executive order. Someone wanted you to comment on that today, that basically that executive order was to eliminate the IRS or to eliminate the
Federal Reserve.
The Federal Reserve.
And that's true. He wanted to bring back U.S. notes because we still had gold backing at that time, which would have worked very well. And he wanted to do away with the Central Intelligence Agency. And that's enough to get you killed in America.
Well, she said that order is still active because it was actually signed. Is it possible that... do you know if that's true?
I really don't. I can't say. I don't know.
Okay. If it is true, is it possible that the people could get that enforced?
Well, if it exists, the answer is yes. What people don't understand is
power.
The people in Washington and New York City live in an entirely different world than we do. They don't care about us. It's wealth and power. That's all it is. It's ridiculous. They do anything they want. There's no Constitution. They own the court system as well as the House and the Senate.
I think, too, Bob, I don't think people realize the power that we do hold in our hands.
No, they don't, but that's why I said earlier, we outnumber them by great margins. It's just that they're controlling the triggers of power. And we got to change that. The triggers of power.
Here's the question. It says, these revolutions reminds John of the early 20th century revolutions which were taking place. Is there a parallel to this?
Could be. Could be. It's certainly worthwhile to speculate on because you get history and you get some things that are very similar. And so, yes, you could do that.
That's a silver question, but that's about Silver Eagles. What do you think we'll see this week, Bob? Being a
Who do I think will do what this week?
What do you think we'll see this week?
Well, I think the gold and silver prices are going to stick. I think gold's going up another couple of $100 here before it runs into any technical resistance. Well, that will take more than a week, of course. And I think that the price of silver will meet resistance on a technical basis, traders, between 37 and 40. And it's going to happen. There's just no two ways about it. When? I don't know, but maybe it's already started. Maybe that's why we had that vicious attack again by our government. I'm just surprised more people on radio and television aren't speaking out because it's so obvious what's going on. Terrible.
Well, maybe that day will come soon. Who knows? But I guess the way I always look at it, if they suppress it, hey, at least we can get it at this price, and because it's going. I mean, as you often say, Bob, they will lose control of it, and they won't be able to keep the prices down to these levels.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you've got all of these Johnny-come-latelys coming up with these asinine stories, people who are totally unqualified to do and say what they're saying. It's just tragic. And that's one of the problems with the Internet. There are problems. It's not all peaches and cream. And it's something we have to live with. You just can't listen to these bozos and their dumb decisions on things.
You touched on this briefly earlier. I saw this question came in on Saturday. Can you comment and elaborate on the destruction of the pension funds and why that is being done?
It's a way of relieving people of their wealth. It's simple.
Yeah.
They want them broke. They want to control all of your money. That's why they're chasing all over the world trying to find out what Americans have money in such and such a place. They want to control you. There will be currency controls. They are coming. And you people have never lived in a currency controlled country. I have. South Africa, Rhodesia, even Europe was partially currency blocked. But I lived there in the 50s. American servicemen used to get paid with script. So most people don't know that unless you were there.
So what are they to do, Bob?
Well, if you're going to hold anything outside the country, you better be prepared to live with it. Yeah. My recommendation is you keep it in America. If you're going to leave and you want to leave now. Don't wait, because you won't get out. It's as simple as that. Unless you go up to some border, or let's say Mexico, just as an example, or Canada, and you pay someone to let you go into their country. And that'll happen, believe me. That's where I think it's all going to lead. Why do you think they want to merge the three countries? So you won't be able to do that. And they're still working on it, I'll tell you that.
And you'll be paying your way. Yeah, you'll be paying your way with gold coins. But anyway, give us a call at 800-375-4188 for those gold coins. Get you in and about. And, of course, preserving your wealth at this point in time. Give us a call at 800-375-4188 for your complimentary issue to the International Forecaster. And, again, something that you shouldn't wait to get. Give us a call. 800-375-4188. We'll be back on Wednesday. So until then, folks, be safe, good night, and God bless. And thank you, Bob.
Oh, you're welcome, and thank you all for listening.
All right.
Bye-bye.